I discovered internet therapy pioneer Jef Gazley through a YouTube search. Up popped his videos, which I watched every one of, every single excerpt. Jef has been practicing psychotherapy for over 30 years. He is president of ADDcare.com. He founded Ask the Internet Therapist in 1998. And you can read more about Jef at AskTheInternetTherapist.com or EnergyPsychologyTherapy.com, or simply Google him or click on any of the links attached to this article. Jef is talking to us from Arizona. Jef, thank you so much for talking with me and the readers of Guess What Normal Is.
Nice to see you today.
Adult children of alcoholics, as well as of other dysfunctional family types where there might be narcissism or chaos, have a distorted view of what normal means and what normal is. And we were raised with the following family rules: don't talk, don't trust, don't feel. Can you help us come up with some benchmarks for what normal is in the context of specifically asking for our needs to be met? For example, simply everyday types of requests that we have trouble making in a simple way. We seem to not be able to make these requests without dealing with a lot of unmanageable emotions behind it, such as asking that annoying neighbor to stop parking his truck in front of my house.
You know, I think that what happens when you grow up in any kind of a dysfunctional family is it is scary, it's chaotic, and there's often a feeling that we really shouldn't be here, that we don't have a right to not only our body, our needs, our wants, just simple everyday requests that people who do not come from dysfunctional families would not have a lot of trouble with, although I don't know many people who haven't come from some form of dysfunctional family. So what happens when you think of asking for something, the immediate feeling that happens is shame and embarrassment, as if you do not have a right to do that. And so you really have to be taught that you do have a right, and you have to believe it in the rational part of our mind, which is the prefrontal cortex. However, the abuse gets stuck in the deeper parts of our mind, in the limbic system and in the reptilian brain. We actually have 3 different brains. And so you have to find a way to get into those brains to take out the toxic memory of the abuse. And there are a number of different ways to do that. Hypnosis, EMDR, and various forms of energy psychology can help with that. What has to happen is you still are going to have some fear that before you say something, and then you just have to practice it. But the main thing is that we have a right to many things that we would like. So if somebody is being loud, I do have a right to say, could you please be a little quieter?
I think it's fair to say, you know, if we felt nothing when we asked people to to move their car, what would that mean?
That would mean that we don't have any sense of sociability. It's, you know, it is naturally scary, at least a little bit scary, to talk with people at all. What happens with children of alcoholics or dysfunctional families is that the tendency is you're terrified, and you expect the worst to happen, because the worst often did happen when you were young. So you're kind of trying to get yourself to believe that it won't be all that bad now in adult life, but the body is screaming that, oh yes, it will, and you have to actually take the risk several times to find out that the world doesn't fall apart.
So the benchmark is you can go from terrified to feeling a bit scared approaching someone to ask for something you need, but that, you know, there's a broad spectrum.
That's the really good news, is that although dysfunctional families are the majority, and it was really terrifying, the principles are well known now because we've been dealing with it since the mid-70s, and there's a prescribed way to get out of it, and if you simply do that over and over again, the shame and the terror releases, and the self-esteem starts to go up. After the world doesn't fall apart when you're talking, then we start to believe it all throughout.
Right.
And then it gets easier.
You've been doing this work for a number of decades. What originally got you interested in it, and what keeps you so engaged?
Well, as with most therapists, we came from a dysfunctional family. Mm-hmm. That's the way anyone would get into it. Besides, 95% of the world comes from dysfunctional families. It's just a matter of degree. But what keeps me to it is really still those two main issues. I love trying to figure out what makes us tick. Mm-hmm. And then also, I can't imagine going through life without trying to assist when appropriate.
Yeah, and it's great that you've taken it online in the way that you have with the Ask the Internet Therapist, and that's fantastic.
What I did, Arizona is a transient society, and what happened is some of my clients would be in mid-therapy, and they'd move to Seattle, and they'd want to continue, but we didn't have any way to really do it, and online work allowed me to do that, and also allowed me to get the videos out, which would just reach more people.
Yeah, that is just great. Well, thank you so much for talking with me. It's a real treat, and for sharing all this great information with my readers. I appreciate it.
Thank you much. Take care.
You too.